Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. The show is designed to give you solutions to your day-to-day management and leadership problems. It's hosted by Matthew Haddock, a frontline manager and leader with over 25 years of experience. If you're ready, then let's get on with the show.
Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. I do hope you are well and getting the results. This show, we talk about all things leadership, management, the art of trying to get people to do what they said they should do without you losing your hair, your temper, or your job. I'm your host, Matthew Haddock, and today we're going to look at the trickiest challenge leadership sometimes gets to. And I hear this a lot, pretty recently as well. I don't know what it is. How the heck do you manage people who are unmanageable? Go into your inbox, you think, oh no. Or you pass them in the corridor and you think, oh, look at the face, something's wrong. The ones who every time there's a team meeting, it's an episode of the grumpy old men, even though they're only in the 20s. So how do you, as a leader, manage those people? Now, I don't want you to think that everyone you manage is going to be unmanageable. And actually, there aren't many people who are really unmanageable. Let's break it back down that I always talk about. It's about behaviours. It's not about attitudes, it's about behaviours. How do people behave? And of course, as a manager and a leader, you set the behaviours through the culture. So when you look at those people and you get that feeling inside, it's you creating that feeling. It's not them, it's the way they are. That's fine. You can't affect them directly. That's the way they work. And the way that those people are, I really absolutely believe that those people do not come to work to cause problems. They don't come to work to be awkward. They don't come to work to make your life a hell. That's in my experience. Now, you might think differently. It's all about your worldview. But you've got to make sure that as a manager, you take responsibility for the way that they behave. And if you are allowing behaviours to get out of control and to get to a point where they're not adding value to that business or causing disruption, it's on you. You can't lose your cool. You can't become that manager who people dreads. Let's break it down in this show into some golden rules around what you can and can't do and what you should and should be doing as a manager to help the people who, in this episode, we're going to call unmanageable. So the golden rule number 1, don't take it personally, as I've just mentioned. First thing, remember this, their behaviour is not a reflection of the way that they act all the time. It's a reflection of how you are managing them. But don't take it personally. The unmanageable worker is like a bad Wi-Fi signal. It's frustrating, it's unpredictable, but it's not built in the system to be that way. They're not programmed to be bad. They've been allowed to get bad over time, and sometimes those traits are definitely cultural. So if we start to take their resistance as, if you take their ways as a personal insult to you, you're already losing that battle. You'll end up reacting emotionally. And then it becomes a game of who can be the bigger pain in the ass, who can spoil it, who can be this, who can be that. These little mind games. Even when you are the leader and you have positional power, you will lose it because there's lots goes on, as you know, in businesses behind the scenes. There's lots of personal connections and alliances. So firstly, golden rule number 1, don't take things personally. Keep calm, keep professional, and keep the emotions out of it. They might be the storm, but you're that lighthouse. You're going to be the one who stays steady and consistent through every one of your interactions with these people. And rule number 2, set some clear boundaries. Unmanageable workers love the grey areas. They'll thrive in the, no one told me exactly what to do zone. Have you heard that before? Well, they don't say I'm meant to do it this way around, even though it's blatantly obvious. And of course, they're playing back on rule number 1, trying to make it personal, trying to get you emotional. So let's look at how in rule number 2, you eliminate the excuses. Set expectations that are clear, that they can't argue with. Think of it like when you have kids in your house, you might have kids or your young ones, you make sure that the sharp edges are covered, the corners aren't exposed. You won't expect, you put gates on the top of stairs, don't you, when they're first learning to walk, so they don't get hurt. And that's the same what you're doing with your workers. You're making sure that those unmanageable people have no excuses. They know exactly what they have got to do. Documents are exactly what you need. Agreed timelines. And then when they try the old trick, I didn't know, you've got it there. Look, it's clear. It's there. It's recorded. It's calm. It's clear. It's firm. And it's fair to everyone. So set some boundaries. Set your expectations. Rule number 3. I'm talking about picking your battles here. So here's the truth. You can't win every fight. And you shouldn't be fighting in the terminology with your team. You're trying to get those people to get the results you need as a team to push the business forward to get results. And it can be exhausting if you're continually trying to what you would think as battle them. You've got this them and us then when you start talking about that. So picking a battle, when I've said it this way around, is making sure that you can keep yourself calm, not emotional. You're setting your boundaries so that when the moans come through and the policies are being abused, you can be the one who make sure that you're getting into the right one. If someone's refusing to do something that is so bad, a safety issue, for instance, obviously you're going to be on it. But if there's a small thing that's not quite working, you'll take them one side. You'll have a little chat with them. You're not going to make a big scene of those things. So make sure that you are picking the right ones. Use your one-to-ones to talk to the people around the small stuff. If it's big, of course, clamp down on it straight away. But pick the battles. You don't have to be the picky manager. Don't become the one who is obsessed with the tiny bits. I know some will say, you should sweat the small stuff, and you've set that. That's what you're doing in golden rule number 2. You've set clear boundaries. Now you're making sure that those people understand them. You're picking your battles. You're working through the process that you need for that person to deliver. So make sure you're picking the right battles and make sure that you're not being petty. Remember, keep the emotion out. Golden rule number 4, keep it professional. As we mentioned in the other rules, professionalism is probably where you're going to win. Document everything. So now, this one might sound a bit boring, I know, but trust me, it is vital. Always keep professionally, no matter how you are, and make sure that you don't get dragged into the drama. That level-headedness. When you look in history, the greatest leaders are the level-headed ones. Everyone knows about the emotional ones, but actually the ones who are really successful are level. They're level-headed. They slowly work through the problems. And here's the management secret weapon: documents. Write it down. The conversations you have, the agreements you've made, the missed deadlines. Make sure you're keeping records. Because one day, when it potentially gets further down, we're going to do all these rules to make sure it doesn't. And make sure that that person who's unmanageable becomes the best person you've got on your team. But sometimes it does go down a more formal HR route. And all they're going to say is, okay, where's your notes? When did it happen? Where's the evidence? So document it. You don't have to make a big song and dance. The good thing about our technological world we live in, you can easily create a simple document on there and do it for your people anyway. They can do their one-to-ones in there, the development plans. All those can be in a simple document you keep. It's got a clear trail of evidence. If things go bad, you're being fair and consistent as long as you do it with everyone. So keep it professional. Document everything. Rule number 4. That's going to help so much with our unmanageable people. Now, rule number 5. Know when to escape. And this is what I was just going to get to. Sometimes, no matter how much you coach, guide, nudge, do all the good stuff, which you can do, there is a point where that worker stays unmanageable. And that's when you need to escalate. That doesn't mean storming off to HR first sign of any trouble. It means recognising when the behaviour is beyond your toolkit as a leader. You'd hope you can fix everything, and I've been in the trap of thinking I can fix everything on my own. But sometimes you need support, you need to escalate, you need to soundboard with the people around you. HR is a great partner for that, especially if you're a senior leader. You should have a good relationship with HR. Be honest with them, talk through what's happened, show them what your working out is. And if you've done everything by the book and you've followed all the guidelines, then you need to be looking at the next step for that person, because you're going to be going down a pip which there is a few episodes on here on PIP. So if you want to go back into the Management back catalogue, 300 odd episodes now, remember, there is some good stuff on PIPs, and you're going to use that first. You're not going to do else, of course, unless it is massively important. As you said, there's certain things that are going to cross a line in your business, and you need to do it straight away. Those aren't things we're talking about here. We're talking about a steady person who's not performing. You've done all the one-to-ones, you've given them the feedback, you're using the professional way with them, you're keeping it simple, you've documented everything, but you need to escalate. And I would say when you get to rule 5, don't sort of say I have to do 1, 2, 3, 4 before I got to 5. Just make sure that you're talking to your HR partner, if you like, or a manager at a senior level as you, not to tell tales, just to say, look, this is a person A, Bob, Jane, I'm having this issue with them. What do you think? Am I reading the room right? What's going on? So talk through them, but make sure you know when to escalate. Don't leave it too late, because it can be very, very, very difficult. So where's the funny truth? Here's the funny truth. Every manager, no matter how brilliant, will face at least one or even more unmanageable workers in their career. If you haven't yet, don't worry, they're out there, they're waiting for you, like that final boss level on the video games. But the key isn't to avoid them, it's to handle them in a way that keeps you professional, keeps your team running, and keeps you sane and obviously employed. So let's wrap it up. Where have we got to on this one? So let's have a recap of the golden rules. Don't take it personally. Set clear boundaries. Make sure you're picking the right battles. Stay professional and document everything. And number 5, know when to escalate. Do that and you'll manage the unmanageables without losing your cool, your job. And remember that the people, as I said at the beginning, in my experience, do not come to work to be awkward. There's a lot going on in our lives, and just getting to know the person and getting to know how they tick and how they work and setting the culture in the business is the key to get people in the right way, mindset-wise, and delivering results. There may be people who you just don't like. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. We are human beings. We cannot like every single person in the world. Sometimes you just don't like them. You just don't click with them. They're just not your type of person. And that's fine. But you've got to be professional. Lead that person. Get the results. Because that's how it works. Now, what do you think of the show? It could be absolute nonsense. You could think that those 5 golden rules about, don't take it personal, setting boundaries, picking your battles, staying professional and documenting and know when to escalate are absolute rubbish. Well, I'll never know unless you send me the 6th golden rule, feedback, to managermattpodcast@gmail.com. New, old, send it over. Ask me your questions. What do you think? Have you had unmanageable people? What did you do? Good or bad? How can others learn? Then I can share it with our community, which is growing week on week. The amount of downloads at the minute are growing week on week, so thank you so much for that. And of course, thank you for tuning into the show. Every week when I write these episodes and present them to you, I really do feel it's improving the managers and leaders just now into the future, and we all know how good that's going to be, because good managers are not born, they've got to learn. So, that's it for Manager Matt this week. Thank you so much for listening, and goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening to this Manager Matt podcast. We hope you found it interesting, helpful and actionable. One last thing, please leave a quick review on iTunes or with your podcast provider, as it helps to spread the word of Manager Matt. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast, and if you did like anything in particular, send an email to managermattpodcast@gmail.com or visit managermatt.co.uk for more content. Feedback is a gift, so let's keep giving. See you next week.